Over the course of this video, I've got one goal. And that is to help give you a transformation in your mind, body, and soul that brings back to life that vibrance and that lighthearted nature life has to offer. So you can experience freedom, peace, joy, all the beautiful things that life has to offer. But life has an interesting way of throwing us curveballs. Sometimes we're going to ask ourselves the question, how do we pay these bills? I don't know if I can live my life without that girl. What does my future hold? I don't know what it's going to look like. Well, I want to start us off with a quote from the Bible. And in Romans 12:2, it says something along the lines of, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." Now, if you know me, I'm going to tackle this from a variety of angles. I've been diving a lot more into the Bible. It's the most famous book of all time. You gotta dive into it every now and then and study. I love to look at it from the lens of spirituality and consciousness and neuroscience, and I do this because I realize we're multi-dimensional beings. We have a mind, body, and soul. And I think the reason a lot of people get confused is because people are just talking from a different lens, right? People that are super heavy on the God stuff are speaking from the soul. People that are super heavy on the neuroscience are speaking from the mind, how to rewire your brain, right? People that are super holistic in their health and their dieting and their fitness are speaking from the body because they experienced that freedom on one of those three dimensions. So let's dive into how we can achieve it in all of them. Now, we got two questions we're going to have to answer over the course of this video. How can we renew our minds to be free from the worry and chaos of life? How can we give our worries to God? How can we be renewed through accepting and adopting a new lifestyle, a new thought process, a new way to walk through this world with confidence and faith and trust and love? Now, question number two is, you probably know you need to change. You probably know the doom scrolling, the eating like trash, the smoking, the drinking, the negative thoughts, the jealousy, insecurity isn't going to get you any further than you are. It's only going to dig you a deeper grave. So if we know we need to change, what does that actually look like besides the intellectualization and the you need to change self-development content? Well, the reason I started with that Bible verse, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, is because you can literally renew your mind. They're saying renew your mind in the presence of God. What does that mean? Well, let's start from the bottom. You can literally repattern your thoughts. If you're used to thinking negative things, insecure things, and digging yourself a grave in that way, that's because you have wired the neurons in your brain to fire in that pattern. Your brain is a map of your past thoughts. That's what the science says. You can literally rewire it because neurons that fire together are going to wire together. So if you can learn to let go the negative thoughts and stop thinking those things, it's not the fact that you're not going to think them, it's just the fact that you're not going to dive down the rabbit hole and dig yourself a grave with them. Actually, you start rewiring your brain when you start saying no to things. So you don't even need to get complicated and add all these positive affirmations to your life. You just need to let go of the things that kept it negative. That is how we renew our mind. You can reprogram your body when you stop thinking negative thoughts. You're going to release different chemicals into your body. So if you're used to that survival, that fear, that worry, that's a program. The thoughts you think lead to the chemicals that are released into your body. And you create this feedback loop, this cycle. So how do we renew our minds? Well, the goal is to embody the harmonious patterns of a higher intelligence. the nature of God or the source of creation. And the reason I believe in my heart this to be the truth is because at the core of it all, what is happening is a surrender of your personal will. A lot of the weight we take on is because we bear the responsibility. We like to bear the cross of our suffering. We like to bear the cross of our responsibility because it validates our ego's identity. Hey, you're lazy, you didn't go to the gym. Hey, you're addicted to drinking because you have a beer every night with dinner, right? Like that judgment is the weight we bear on ourselves. We try and wield our own personal cross. Accepting a higher power in your life, a higher intelligence, for me, that's God. And I see God in all things. I see God in the flow of energy that is the source of all life. I see God in the teachings of the Bible. I see God in Taoism when they talk about the way, the natural, harmonious unfolding of life's intelligence. We have to surrender our personal will because we have to stop feeding the chaotic loops of incoherence, right? When your body's in a fight or flight state and you're stressed out and worried and engaging with fear, you are literally creating incoherence in your mind and soul and body. And that's because we fall victim to our personal will. Like it's our ego thinking we're in control. So we judge ourselves, we get mad, we get upset, we get angry, right? Life can be so overwhelming, especially if we aren't prioritizing the right lifestyle. So in this video, that's why I want to talk about, okay, you know you need to change, but what does that actually look like? Grant, what do I need to think? What do I need to feel? What do I need to do with my time? What does my fitness routine need to look like, right? It's so easy to fall victim to the, how am I going to pay my bills? What does my future look like? Well, let me break down the overall process of what's going to happen in order to navigate this transformation. You have to surrender your control, the egoic personal will that bears the weight of the world. And we do this through letting go of thoughts, fears, worries, judgments, vengeance we hold against strangers, ex-partners, teachers that gave us bad grades. We have to let go of all of that because that's sucking our energy from us. That's taking our life source. When you do that, you go from thinking those things into nothingness. You're like, oh, well, what do I think now? I got no thoughts. You have to choose things like trust and faith and anchor yourself in a higher truth. And from here, the more consistently we do this, we experience an existential freedom. This is how we transform our mind. We rewire our brain. We unlock new thoughts and new beliefs. That's what they mean in the Bible when they say the renewal of your mind. Through accepting God's will, you are repatterning your biology on divine energy. Everything has energy. Everything has frequency. I got a quote or a comment on my last video like, isn't the energy and frequency new age stuff? I'm like, we don't need to throw a label on it. Energy and frequency existed before we did. God existed before we placed a label on it. Like clearly we're not intelligent enough to be making finite decisions about these things. All I do is open my heart, open my mind, and aim to say yes to this and that. I can say, yes, Jesus Christ was a figure, and he was the Son of God. I believe that. I believe Jesus Christ embodied God. But I also can say, I believe that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And those two things allow me to transcend the duality, the back and forth between, is this good or bad, is this right or wrong, and unlock a new piece of wisdom. That's why the triangle was in the eye, two pieces of duality, but you overcome duality by achieving that peak point of transcendence. The rabbit hole goes on forever, but you get what I'm saying. Now, after we engage with this process, we experience 3 levels of transformation. Our mind can create new neural patterns. We can think elevated thoughts. Our body's going to reduce stress. It's going to calm the nervous system. It's going to build that heart and brain coherence that Dispenza talks about. In our soul, we're going to surrender the personal will. We're going to allow the ego's identity to fade, and we're going to accept union with God. Accepting union with God is being present. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to earn that. You don't have to justify it. You don't need to intellectualize it. It's as simple as being right here with the silence. I hear the birds, the crickets, the breeze through the trees, the bees and bugs flying around. Like that is happening whether I have anything to say about it or not. Nature's harmoniously evolving before my eyes, and I'm just becoming an observer of it. Now, it's important to introduce the science because you need to know you can change. You need to know that it's not just some scripture. Like when they say renew your mind in the Bible through the acceptance of God's will, it's literal science. You will literally think positive thoughts. You will literally be fulfilled in your heart and soul because there's more coherence. Like your brain and heart are working together to create higher forms of energy. And those higher forms of energy are love, joy, peace. It's both things, ladies and gentlemen. It's really so magical. I was talking to my friend at the gym earlier, and he's got a knee injury, and he was saying, I really started to dive deep into the body. And he's like, it just led me straight to God. Because there's no way that our bodies are so intelligently organized and so complex of a system without an intelligent creator. And that's why I love to talk about this stuff on the internet, because it's an awakening of curiosity. You get to explore yourself, you get to explore life, you get to get closer to God in the process of inquiry. Now, every thought fires and wires new neural circuits. Fearful thinking reinforces stress. Faith-based thinking builds peace and coherence. Meditation shifts the brain from a beta state, which is survival, to an alpha and theta state, which is receptivity. A coherent heart rhythm is synchronized with the brain, producing peace. This is the science of renewal. We can have science and spirituality, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what do they also say? Reject the pattern of this world, right? So let's talk about the pattern of this world versus the pattern of God. The pattern of this world is fear, comparison, control, consumption. But the pattern of God is peace, surrender, gratitude, generosity, abundance. Your transformation is shifting from reaction to creation, from survival to being a conscious creator. It's going from anxiety to alignment. When you are aligned, when your puzzle piece is perfectly placed in the grand scheme of things, you're going to feel it on a mind, body, and soul level. And it doesn't come from trying to force your puzzle piece to fit into someone else's puzzle through judgment, through comparison, through fear, through anxiety. It doesn't work like that. I want you to think of letting go and surrender in the Bible as like spiritual technology. Letting go is like an active surrender. It is something you consciously choose. Whether you start to feel your heart rate rise because you're getting a little anxiety, it's the choice to take a deep breath. It's the choice not to feed that negative thought. Each release deactivates survival programs and invites that natural coherence, order, and harmony that is associated with the higher states. Now, in some scripture from Peter, it says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. When you can do this, when you can let go of your anxiety and fears and worry and give it to something bigger than yourself. I'm not telling you who. It can be anything. It could be the quantum field. It could be Jesus Christ. It could be the source of all things in Taoism, because it's talking about the same fucking thing. And you can debate that all you want, but then we're just debating the theology. The devil's in the details, ladies and gentlemen. I'm after the freedom. I'm after the liberation. I'm after the experience of what happens when you actually live what they're teaching. Not justify it so I look cool or validate my ego or act like I'm some spiritual person. I don't even think I'm spiritual. I think I'm just trying to do a better job being human. I want to be at peace with the human condition. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to worry. I don't want to be afraid, because I don't want to close my eyes. I'm scared I'll miss too much. Life is too short, ladies and gentlemen. When you let go, you experience an identity renewal. You are not what you own, what others think of you, or the suffering you've endured. You are an expression of God's nature. When you stop resisting, you realize this. When I say you are an expression of God's nature, think about it. I'm sitting here right here with the trees. I'm breathing in air and letting out carbon dioxide. Well, guess what? The trees are breathing in that carbon dioxide and letting out air. And the sun is shining, and the leaves are engaging in photosynthesis with the plants and turning that sunlight into nutrients and giving us oxygen. That is what it means when you are one with nature, when you are one with God's creation. Grant has a role in this puzzle piece, just like the trees, just like these bugs that are trying to fly in my mouth and ears right now, just like the grass, just like the leaves that have fallen and fall and turned orange and yellow. They serve their purpose too. It is an effortless unfolding. Now, in this identity renewal, your ego is going to fear loss. It's going to fear what happens when you no longer have these BS things to hold on to. It's going to fear the fact that you're no longer spending all your time thinking about how am I going to pay the bills, or spending all your time thinking about that girl, or spending all of your time worrying about tomorrow. That's what the ego fears, because that's what it identifies with. Imagine it, it's just like it likes to chew on stuff. It needs some food for thought. Well, what happens? The ego is a sense of self. When you let go, you become aware. That sense of self transforms. It expands into something bigger. A connectivity to all things. After birth, we edge God out. We spend 9 months in the womb. We're not knocking, being like, hey mom, when are we coming out? Hey mom, my ear hasn't developed yet. My nose hasn't formed yet. You gonna work on that? No. We are one with the nature. We trust God. But as soon as we get here, we're like, yeah, I'll take the reins from here, God. Edge God out. E-G-O. Ego is developed. We need to return to that childlike trust. And we do this from shifting from fear to curiosity, and shifting from control to trust. You don't need to let your negative thoughts control you. You don't need to let your minimum wage or monthly income control you. You don't need to let other people's opinions or thoughts or worries control you. You need to shift from control to trust. Now, when you trust, your body enters heart and brain coherence. And this is where you start to send a more clear, energetic signal to life around you. The heart contains its own neural network, and it's the bridge between body and spirit. This coherence aligns brain waves with divine order. This is where prayer becomes physiology. This is where meditation becomes your biology. You are bridging the gap between the unseen realm of energy and the seen realm of matter. This is where in the Bible it says, "Be still and know that I am God," becomes a biological reality, not a metaphor. Your energy shifts to the higher states of consciousness through your heart. It's an energetic vortex. So if you're engaging in the lower energy centers, right? Fear that I'm not going to eat, fear that I'm not going to reproduce. Those are your lower energy centers. Your stomach and your reproductive organs are below the heart. But if you have trust and you have faith and you have an inner knowing, you are using your mind, you're using your heart, you are using your connection to things beyond yourself. Now, here's how we can engage in some daily practice of renewal. You can do morning silence and breath work. And I want to take this down from a pedestal because sitting in nothingness and darkness and meditating can be tough for a lot of people. And I've found that the reason you do that is because you just have less distractions, right? You're not distracted by noises, you're not distracted by things that you can see. So you're able to watch these thoughts come up. But one thing that I've done and been doing is I'll wake up and not touch my phone. I'll wake up at 7, not touch my phone, not touch tech, and I'll immediately go outside and walk. And my only purpose on this 30-minute walk is to breathe. And inhale and make sure your exhale is longer. And if I have any trains of thought that try and take me from the station in another direction, I'll let go of those too. And there comes this moment, 15 minutes in, maybe 20 minutes in, where everything goes still. Everything goes silent. You fall into the natural cadence and peace you were looking for. These bugs are really showing out today. Breath work is something that you can practice at any moment. Like, people are saying breath work. Well, you're always engaging in breath work, but sometimes when you're pissed off at work, you got a shallow mouth breather breath work. But also, you can be sitting here in nature and just take your time with things. You can engage with meditation or prayer rooted in some type of scripture, right? Whether that's the Bible, whether that's YouTube videos, whether that's notes that you've taken from all the things that you like to consume that are positive for you. Meditation or prayer is like consciously rewiring your brain. Like, you're consciously choosing gratitude. You're consciously choosing positivity. You're consciously choosing to place your attention on the higher power. You can consciously engage with letting go, and that's like a moment-to-moment active participation. I'm not really big into the affirmation things unless it's stuff like in meditation. When it gets hard for me, I just say just be. Inhale just, exhale be. Just reminding myself to just be here. And when life can feel tough and I can feel overwhelmed and I can feel worried, and I just say, I allow this too. I let go of my control and I allow life to take its course in this moment too. The ups and downs are same to me. It's life. And when you collapse the distance between the highs and the lows, you realize they weren't there anyways. It was just one continuous experience of moment to moment awareness. If you can do this consistently, you're going to wire the surrendered and let go mechanism into your nervous system. So you'll experience the heart and brain coherence over time. You'll experience the reprogramming of your body, and you'll be less addicted to the stress hormones. You'll experience the more effortless positive thoughts, and it'll be like you got a magnet that resists negative thoughts and just repels it. Now, there's this quote from the Course in Miracles that I want to leave you with. It says, "If only you knew who walks beside you on this path, you can never experience fear or doubt again." I'm going to read it one more time. If only you knew who walks beside you on this path, you can never experience fear or doubt again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I commend you for your courage, and I appreciate you spending some time with me to learn a little bit more about the human condition and figure out how we can make the most out of this time we got here. If you engage with this essence, you will renew your mind through the surrender and the faith. You will rewire your body through the coherence and presence, and you will restore your soul through union with God. Because freedom is the natural byproduct of surrendering your personal will and allowing the divine intelligence to guide your life. I got nothing but love for you all, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.